Hi, we're Mike and Jemma from Pinbone. We're here today talking about roasting.
So we're working with the beef shin, a large, strong working muscle full of interconnective muscle and tissue, and those equal flavour. The flavour is what we're looking for here, the mouthfeel, the unctuous, rich texture. What we're going to do here by breaking those down is to create a soft, tender protein and flesh. So once we get rid of those connective tissues, we're going to have a nice, tender piece of beef. Jem, if I can get you to just melt a bit of butter and brown sugar in a pan.
Sure.
With a bit of this thyme, and I'll season this guy up, and then we'll add the caramel to it. Once we've added the caramel into the roasting pan, we'll put this in and we'll cook it nice and slow for about 3 to 4 hours. With this, we're using a lot of sugar, so we can go really heavy on the salt. The sugar and the butter is also going to protect it, give it a bit of like insulation, so to speak, as it cooks for that time period. This is nicely seasoned now. Jem's going to bring over the brown sugar and butter. So I'll just apply this liberally over the top, and then through the cooking process, we'll also baste it and just keep caramelizing the outside of this. Oven set at 165 degrees, ready for a 3 to 4 hour cook. Okay, the shin's been cooking now for 3 to 4 hours, giving a really good baste. All of those muscles have broken down and started to shrink. We're gonna pull it out, we're gonna let it rest, then we're gonna carve it up and eat it. There it is in all its glory. I've given this a 3 to 4 hour cook, so I want it to now sit for at least 20, 30, 40 minutes, and then it should just shred apart, okay? All right, we've rested our shin. We're ready to make the best sandwich you've ever eaten before in your life. We're gonna just spoon over this nice caramel. We've got nice bitter greens to go along with it. We've got house-made mayo, house-made tomato sauce, chili sauce, cucumber pickle, asparagus pickle, fresh lemon juice, and wood-fired bread. It's up to you, have some fun. We're gonna be roasting a rump cap to start.
So first things first, I'm gonna score the fat.
One of the things you find when you're roasting, the fat's gonna render, give an extra amount of flavor, help keep that beef nice and moist and tender.
I'm gonna season it up nice and well with salt and pepper.
Don't be afraid of your seasonings. This is where the flavor's really enhanced.
And that's basically it. I'm going to put some garlic at the bottom of my pan just so my meat isn't sitting on direct heat.
The reason we elevate the beef is to keep the contact between the pan and the high heats away from the proteins. So it's a nice steady, even cook right through the beef.
So now I'm going to transfer my meat straight into the pan. So I'm going to start with my pan on quite low because what I want to do is render the fat. So I'm going to place it fat side down into the pan. I'm going to let it sit there and do its thing for a few minutes. So you can kind of see now that there is quite a lot of fat rendered out into the pan. So just before I flip it, I'm going to season my protein, my actual meat side. Same as the fat, I'll go really generous with salt and pepper. So I'm flipping my rump now, and you can see all that fat in the bottom and that really nice colour's starting to happen. So I just put the rosemary and garlic underneath just so my meat isn't sitting directly on the pan and it'll cook nice and evenly. So I'm going to transfer this into the oven now, which I've got it sitting about 140, and it'll sit in there for about 35-40 minutes. I don't want to go any higher than that because I want my meat to cook nice and slow and evenly. I don't want to shock my meat to shrink it, and it's going to sit there and the fat will render through nicely and I'll end up with a nice juicy bit of meat. Okay, so I've kind of given this a nice good prod now, and it has been about 45 minutes and I think it's just about done. I'm going to rest it on a tray. Kind of rule of thumb is to rest for about half the amount of the cooking time. All right, so let's plate this dish up. Cut the little end piece off there. So just today I've got we call these greasy beans. Just lay these on top. I'm just gonna finish that off with a dill pickle that we make in the restaurant. Season with a little bit of olive oil and we're done. Okay, so here it is. It's our roasted beef rump cap with greasy beans and dill pickle.
Me and Jem are now gonna tackle the infamous reverse sear, okay?
It's easy. So to reverse sear this piece of meat, I'm going to put it straight into the oven as is at a lower temperature, just so I can get the internal temp and the exact doneness of the meat that I would like. And then we're going to smash it in a really hot pan and we're going to get that caramelization all over at the last minute.
We have a prime cut of meat here. We've got a ribeye on the bone. We don't want to overcook that.
Fats start to break down around 50 to 60 degrees.
And so when they melt, they give flavor and they give tenderness.
So my little trick to get a nice hunk of flavour and bring up that real big umami of the beef, I use fish sauce. I'm going to rub my whole piece of meat in fish sauce. I will season it a little bit with pepper just for flavour. When I'm reverse searing a piece of meat, I do look for something that's on the bone because it is going to protect the actual piece of meat we're going to eat. And I look for something about 2 to 3 inches thick just so I can get that really nice internal temperature without sacrificing any of the meat or the flavour.
We're going to put this meat up on a rack at the as well as it being on the bone. We want a lot of airflow, we want a lot of circulation, we want even temperature throughout the whole piece of meat. So at this point, it goes straight into the oven till it's cooked to about 45 degrees internal. Then we'll bring it out and we'll finish it.
So it's been about 25 minutes now and I think it should be ready, so I'm going to check the internal temp with my thermometer. So my internal temp's sitting just under 50, which is perfect, so I'm going to grab it out of the oven. So I've preheated my grill so it's nice and hot. I'm going to put my steak straight on and get a nice quick caramelization so I get that deep, intense beef flavour without substituting the cook on the inside. So I've given this a good seal for about a minute or two. I'm now going to roll it up just so I get all sides really nicely caramelized. All my grill marks on there are looking great. I've got a really nice even brown caramelization. I'm going to pull it straight off and let it rest.
Okay, so here's our rested, reverse seared steak. Plenty of caramelization, plenty of Maillard reaction, and then you can see on the pan, hardly any juices, nothing's bled out. So we should have a nice, rare, medium rare steak here. So it just comes straight down along the bone, and now we'll carve the meat. You can see this meat is literally just falling apart, but it's still gonna have all the flavor, all the taste, and all those things that you're familiar with from sitting over fire, sitting over flames, smoking up and grilling up. So to play off that nice, funky fish sauce, we've got an aged pecorino, and that's done. The perfect ribeye.